Welcome to the new P&L, Patterns and Leaders. Every month, business leaders review a profit and loss statement to understand the results of their business. But what if there was another P&L? One that reflected the patterns, leadership, growth, trust, and human decisions behind those results. Today, we're turning that question inward. Your company may be growing, but are you? Joining me today is Kryssi Murrell, co-owner of K&K Accounting Services. Kryssi has built multiple businesses and understands that sustainable growth requires more than financial expansion. It requires leaders and teams who can develop the capacity to handle greater complexity and responsibility.
And joining me is Michael Winn, CEO of RBOA. Michael is consistently exploring the relationship between personal growth, leadership development, organizational capacity, and the questions that help people see themselves differently.
Well, Kryssi, you're right. And, together, I think what we've been doing over this whole new P&L podcast is really trying to explore both sides of the same business, right? The financial story tells us what happened. The human story tells us and helps us understand why it happened. So let's go back to our two companies, right? We're going to set sort of the parameters. Both companies doubled their revenue over 5 years. Both hired more employees. Both added new clients. Both expanded their services. So on paper, they appeared to have experienced similar growth. But underneath, the leaders developed very differently. So here's company A. Revenue increased, responsibilities increased. The leader kept control of most of the decisions, the CEO. Stress and working hours increased. Team dependency increased. So the organization, it really grew larger, but on the inside, it was fragile. Company B, revenue increased, leadership capacity increased, decisions became more distributed, team members developed confidence, new leaders emerged, and the organization became larger and stronger. So same financial growth, different human growth.
The financial statements may show that both companies expanded, but the second company has built greater capacity to sustain the expansion.
Yeah, no, exactly right. I mean, the growth isn't only about how much more the organization carries. It's also about the people inside the company and who are they becoming.
Yeah.
And this whole episode really was inspired to me. I had the opportunity when I met with a colleague of mine, and we were just talking about how things are going with their business, and I just asked the question, "Are you growing?" And they immediately, like without even skipping a beat, they were like, "Oh yeah, we're adding people, and we've got new locations, and we've got new service offerings, and this technology is helping us to, and I mean, very excited, right?" But what happened was when they finished, I slowed down for a minute and said, "Are you growing?" Kryssi, it was like all the lights came on, and this person was like standing in front of me in like, they're like, I don't know, casual things they would wear around the house, like exposed, if you will, right? And they were like, "I don't know why you just asked me that question, but it's something that I've been wrestling with a lot."
Wow.
Kryssi, you know what it reminded me of? You remember in episode 1 when we talked about feeling stuck?
Mm-hmm.
Direct correlation. Are you growing? No, I'm not growing. I feel like I'm stuck.
Right, right.
Yeah. And so I think the power of that is it really reveals that bigger is not always growth, right? So all of our business language, it's all about more revenue. It's all about more customers and more employees and more locations and more responsibility. But my question is it possible for an organization to get bigger without actually becoming healthier and wiser and more capable? What do you think?
Yeah, yes. Yes, because I do think that it does depend on personal growth as well. Because honestly, if you're not growing as a leader, how can you expect your team to grow and help the business grow healthier?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And we sometimes think as growth as this big, you think of growth as something big, like this big thing happened. Now I knew I grew, right?
Yeah.
But small things, one day at a time, small changes create big shifts.
I like that. It, you know what it makes me think, Kryssi? It makes me think that depth is another expression of growth,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that is an expression that is worth exploring when you, as a leader, as a CEO, as a business owner, as the vice president of whatever, business development, growth, whatever. Yes, your job is to grow the company, but if you are not growing, then very likely you're either stuck or you feel empty,
Yes,
right?
correct.
Here's another thing that I think falls in line with this. And this follows, I cannot tell you how many companies that I've read or studied or heard of friends who have said, well, we have 110%, like that's our goal. And I want to just bust the 110% myth all to pieces right now.
Okay.
And here's what I think, Kryssi, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Every organization that I've been at in my previous career, going back to when I started in, working when I was in high school, I've heard this idea of I need 110% out of you from the boss. And so you feel like they're literally trying to squeeze out this like extra little bit,
Mm-hmm.
And so as a leader, I've seen this happen. It's like, oh, well, maybe this person is really only at 90%. And if I can coach them or encourage them, then I can get 10% more and take them from 90% to 100%. Or if they're at 100%, how do I get from 100% to 110%? And like it literally creates this whole culture of like squeezing everything out of the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
And we've had that for like decades, you know, and I have, I'm asking myself this question.
Okay.
Can a company build a healthy organization by constantly asking people to operate beyond their capacity?
My answer is no.
I, it's called burnout.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's called burnout. And I'm trying to think about what's the alternative.
Hmm.
And I think what I'm seeing happen at RBOA with our team, if I'm just being honest here, is something really incredible is happening. And it goes back to this sort of idea of collective achievement where team members are actually helping their teammates and saying, hey, can I help you with that? Or hey, I can do that. And it's not necessarily because they're trying to perform or, whatever, but there's this real desire of I see you're at capacity, and let me take that. And ultimately I'm giving time back to you. I'm giving time to you, my boss, my leader, my account lead. And Kryssi, it is absolutely transformational. I am so excited about what is happening as I see this happen in our own organization. And it makes me want to just really rip out all the things that are designed around this squeeze out 110%.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's of course everyone needs to have a great work ethic, but at the end of the day, I think what that 110% does is it creates a ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that you can go any further than that without either burning out or creating a bottleneck, or you know because as the leader, if you're trying to do all of that, you're not giving anyone the ability to make decisions on their own. They're waiting for you to do that.
Correct.
And I think that is really the that's what we were saying in episode 5 is there that environment of trust, and is the culture in your company centered around where leaders ask themselves this question: what is it
Yes.
like? What is it like to be led by me? Like that's a mirror. And we're going to come back to that. I think that might be something that we need to look into a little bit deeper. But for sure, creating growth in others, that it absolutely is the thing that I've seen in 2026 with my team, is that it's no longer the highest expression of the leader being able to produce the most. That's no longer the value. The real value is, does the leader have the ability to create a culture, a day-to-day working environment where the people around them, they're becoming more?
Yes.
And the only way that happens is and we've said it before, and I love Gino Wickman. He got it. I didn't figure this out. He said the 3 reasons why small companies fail when trying to start out is: number 1, they are not open-minded. Number 2, they are not growth-oriented. Number 3, they are not vulnerable. As leaders, those are the 3 things that are absolutely going to be our downfall. And I think the way I see it actually playing out in the real world right now, in our organization and in others, that when I tell this story, they're like, yeah, we're starting to see that same thing too, where you create an environment, you know what the answer is, and you know the direction, but you give room and you open with a thoughtful conversation so that the group comes together, comes up with the solution together, or makes the decision together, right? And you literally get to see the decision unfold. And Kryssi, it is just absolutely the most powerful example I can even think of.
Right. And as a leader, when you're seeing this unfold, how does that make you feel? Like, that's like, man, that's my team.
Yeah. Well, I would say this. When I was telling you about that example about the lunch that I had with my colleague, and I asked them that question, are you growing? and they responded back, and they were so genuine about how they were wrestling with that question. Kryssi, it on the inside, it made me feel like I had been compensated with something beyond money.
Mm-hmm.
I had this feeling of like I'm it's I have an honor. I'm literally humbled by the fact that I get to experience this growth with someone that I literally just met. We had never met each other, and we connected so fast.
Yeah.
Because we were absolutely honest and vulnerable when we asked the right question. And that conversation the rest of the afternoon was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to have a follow-up conversation with my friend now and find out how did that thing unfold. I can't wait. I'll let you know when I get together with them again.
Okay.
But I think that when we think about what are the kind of leaders that we're going to need in the future, I mean, that's really what we're going to discover and explore in episode 7 is as leaders grow, this ultimately happens. They're going to become responsible for more people and more decisions and more outcomes. But in the squeeze out the 110%, those responsibilities, I think it can create isolation and feeling alone. And I think what we need to do, what we're going to do in episode 7, is we're going to explore and unpack that leadership mirror I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And
be
really, and really be able to, because this is the follow-up question that I asked my friend at lunch. Who's leading you? Right? So it's twofold.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like to be led by you? And then who's leading you? And that is the environment when we talk about this collective growth, this collective achievement. It's that intersection where business growth and personal growth, where they intersect, right? Which is why we decided to do this podcast in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, we're so glad that you guys tuned in today. Remember, the numbers tell us what happened.
The patterns and leaders help us understand why.
We'll see you guys next time on the new P&L.